Are you like a crazy person?
I'm quite sure they will say so.
Now, hats, coats, galoshes over here. But hurry, please. We have so much time and so little to see. Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it.
We're not like you. We're grown-ups.
I don't know what we're yelling about!
I've not come for what you hoped to do. I've come for what you did.
The Hare and the Tortoise. A hare was making fun of the tortoise one day for being so slow. "Do you ever get anywhere?" he asked with a mocking laugh. "Yes," replied the tortoise, "and I get there sooner than you think. I'll run you a race and prove it." The hare was much amused at the idea of running a race with a tortoise, but for the fun of the thing he agreed. So the fox, who had consented to act as judge, marked the distance and started the runners off. The hare was soon far out of sight, and to make the tortoise feel very deeply how ridiculous it was for him to try a race with a hare, he lay down beside the course to take a nap until the tortoise should catch up. The tortoise, meanwhile, kept going slowly but steadily, and after a time passed the place where the hare was sleeping. But the hare slept on very peacefully, and when at last he did wake up, the tortoise was near the goal. The hare now ran his swiftest, but he could not overtake the tortoise in time. The race is not always to the swift. During an extended moment in our lives where time has never been more subjective, both swift and slow concurrently, we will take inspiration this week from two of Aesop's better-known characters, the tortoise and the hare. There is a chance that the phrase, "slow and steady wins the race," became the translation of the moral from this familiar story, often used as encouragement to take one's time while creating a false sense of competitive achievement. Rarely does slow win any kind of race. However, with a closer look at the fable and a look back at Aesop's actual moral, "the race is not always to the swift," we can not only draw inspiration for difficult times, but also find parenting wisdom that will help prepare our children for success in any arena. Quarantine Week 2's focus will be to the benefits of managing expectations, staying humble, and always finishing. The tortoise never claims to be faster than the hare, nor does he claim that he can defeat the hare in a race. He simply states that he can get places sooner than you think. The tortoise recognizes the hare's judgment, but, above all, has comfort and confidence in his own abilities, which happens to outreach the hare's expectations. Later on, as the hare lay down for his nap, he meant to rest until the tortoise should catch up. His miscalculation of the tortoise's speed seems to be what did him in. He intended to awake when the tortoise arrived to gloat before finishing the race victoriously. This is a prime example of the difference between self-centered expectations and competitive expectations, the latter which seems to be multiplying, well, like rabbits. Too often when asked about performance or achievement, we are receiving a response in reference to someone else. "Well, it was better than him. What about her? Everyone else was doing it." This can be used at the other end of the spectrum as well. "I'll never do it as well as her. He just has natural talent. Everyone was able to do it but me." Children are creating a floor and a ceiling of performance within which they can justify their comfortable living space. Our role as guardians and guides is to steer them within. How do you feel about it? Is that something you are proud of? Would you change anything about it if you did it again? Remember, as nurturers of independence, questions are answers. To extend the metaphor, the tortoise carries his comfortable living space with him at all times. Helping our children to foster this comfort in any situation is the ultimate gift we can give. Notice, our gift to them is helping them foster it within themselves. This is not something we can just force upon them. It must be their creation. The management of expectations is a personal journey. The tortoise not only manages his own of himself, but recognizes those of the hare. He represents a true master of expectations. Like this fable shows, expectations do exist both within and without our control. More on the external type later. Staying humble in his performance is another strength of the tortoise. Not only is he confident, not only does he achieve, but he also does so, and because of, his choice to focus on the task at hand rather than brag and celebrate the progress toward his goal. When children create that floor and ceiling, when they are using their external environment as a measuring stick, they are also creating a pseudo-competitive atmosphere. In order to feel accomplished, in order to find success, there must be someone who loses and/or there must be something to win. Here is when they may be drawn off track while seeking some positive reinforcement, either offered by or taken from another. The tortoise had a single moment as he passed where the hare slept peacefully to gloat and revel in his accomplishment to that point. Had he done so, he would undoubtedly have lost the race. This does not mean he would not have proven his point of getting there sooner than the hare thought, but the result becomes clear. Sticking to this task, focusing on himself, not only did he exceed expectations, but was also victorious. What we see from some children this age who have created that external focus is a constant need for approval or praise. Not only do they crave that positive reinforcement, but they sometimes require checkpoints along the journey to completing a task as fuel to even reach the end. These are often children who make announcements about their progress or achievement. Being proud is wonderful. Expressing pride is refreshing. Anticipating and expecting an audience could easily wake the hare. Confidence took the tortoise to the accomplishment he believed he was capable of, but being humble took him to the next level. Finally, ironically, is a lesson we can take from both the tortoise and the hare, and the lesson most important for our children to learn. That lesson is, finish the job. The tortoise did not stop when he had accomplished his goal of proving the hare wrong. He finished the race. The hare did not stop when he realized he had underestimated the tortoise. He finished the race. Neither of the characters stopped until the task they had entered into was completed. This is where we need to talk about external expectations. A race is meant to be finished according to the terms. A homework assignment is meant to be finished according to the directions. A room is meant to be finished being cleaned according to the expectations of the boss. Children learn about instructions, expectations, and accountability through experience. Children also learn how to slip out of these things through experience. Follow-through becomes the variable in this learning curve. When your child is told to clean his or her room, to whose standard must this task be completed? Once the expectations are understood and the ordeal started, how many different ways out are there? Does their messy room become their tomb or the death of your standards within the home? One of the greatest challenges as a teacher, you know what? No, I'm not going to make this universal. I will speak on this from my personal approach to the world. One of the greatest challenges for me as a teacher, a coach, a parent, as a person, is processing a choice to not complete a task or complete it the way it was told it should be done. My mother would be the first to call me out for not yet having gone through boxes of old books in her basement, but let's table that discussion for a minute. I'm an adult and I'm making the conscious decision to make sure I'm always on her mind. What I am focused on is the complete 3 problems, the write 5 paragraphs, the it is due on Friday. When students are struggling, and I'm putting that in air quotes, to complete tasks in their entirety, it sparks investigation. That investigation often reveals the dreaded nod. When speaking directly to them, they will nod in understanding and agreement. They may even be bold enough to say, yes, I understand. But when left to complete the task, that verbal agreement has completely dissolved. Follow through again becomes the catalyst for independent success. It can be taught, it can be trained, it can be drawn out of their character, but it requires a lot of front-end work on our part. Expectations, once clear, should be a contract with no exception. Even the hare, who had lost himself the race and potentially embarrassed himself, still gave everything he had to finish the race he started. Finishing always matters, and finding the pride in the completion of a task will also help to strengthen the inward health of the child. I will take my own advice and finish here. Manage expectations, stay humble, and finish the job, be it parenting on a Tuesday, surviving a quarantine, or passing along valuable lessons to your children. And remember, the race is not always to the swift.